On your Monday episode of Locked On Raptors, after another tanktastic loss to the Spurs on Sunday, we asked the question, does Jamal Shead have a shot in hell at an all-rookie spot?
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Monday, March the 24th, and I'm your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 11 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on Blue Sky. You can also find the show on Instagram, and you can join us in the Locked On Raptors Discord server. Link in the description of the podcast. Free to join, as always. Also free is the QR code on the screen or the link in the description where you can go and sign up for the daily Locked On Raptors newsletter. Original words from me 5 days a week about your Toronto Raptors, and it's pretty good. We're also getting a nice bump in readership of late and subscriptions of late. Very cool to see. Thanks to all who have jumped on board, and let's keep it rolling, please. It's much appreciated. And again, 5 days a week, original stuff. I don't think you're getting that many other places these days, especially for the low price of On the House. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. And with that, we're off and running here on a Monday edition of Locked On Raptors, where I guess we'll sort of loosely talk about losing 123-89 at home to the tanking San Antonio Spurs. Yes, another absolutely nasty to watch stinker of a game at Scotiabank Arena. The Raptors, I guess, a successful tank loss. Good job. Woohoo. Yay. An all-time going through the motions game, I thought, for the Raptors in this one. We will get into a little bit of the news from before the game, the sort of pseudo news, I guess, regarding Brandon Ingram and the latest status update for him. We'll get to the good, the bad, and the from this game to close things out. But off the top, I want to talk about Jamal Shead, who, outside of Scottie Barnes, who was pretty good in the game against the Spurs, easily Shead was the most watchable component of this basketball game from Toronto's end of things. He gets the start. He plays 27 minutes, a career high 17 points. 5 of 6 on his twos, which is nice. He goes 7 of 14 overall, 6 assists, 2 boards, 3 turnovers, -5. That's the line for Jamal Shead. And this one, a very, solid, perfectly cromulent line from Jamal Shead. The reason I want to talk about it is because while I was at this game, I was sitting next to our pal Keeks, who was keeping up with the broadcast for her stats keeping duties. And I could hear the broadcast coming through her speakers. And I heard a lot of Matt Devlin seemingly beginning his Jamal Shead for all rookie campaign. And I thought, what better way to talk or to sort of spin this game into something interesting than to get into the Jamal Shead all rookie case. Obviously, this is not the most stacked rookie class we've ever seen. And Jamal Shead leads the Raptors in games played this season, obviously has been a very bright light of optimism and joy and just fun basketball on a team that needs those types of stories and dudes to get excited about night to night. He remains one of the most exciting guys to watch over the rest of the season for me as he gets a heavy run and, takes his lumps as rookie point guards do, but also there's some nice flashes going on in there as well. And I think it's a fair enough question to examine and sort of take a look as to whether or not he has a case for all rookie. I think it's a far-fetched thing. We'll get into why that is. But I also cannot blame the broadcast for 1 second for making this their hobby horse over the last 12, 13, 14 games, whatever. I guess it's 11 now. I have it on the screen. I should probably know that it's just 11 games left. I'm counting them down like minutes to midnight on New Year's Eve. But either way, I think with Jamal Shead, there's not much else for the Raptors broadcast to latch onto over this last little stretch. I totally get you got to fill 2.5 hours of broadcast every single night. Why not do a little bit of Jamal Shead propaganda? Is it just Homer stuff? Is it just for the home crowd to sort of, give people a bone and make them feel excited about the possibility of some kind of awards recognition? Possibly. Again, we'll get into the case of why I don't think it's terribly likely, but I'm not also going to get mad at this being a thing if they spam it down the stretch every time Jamal Shead scores a basket. If they do the all rookie thing, yeah, fine. I get it. No problem. I don't think he's making an all-rookie team. And this is not me saying that I don't love Jamal Shead, because I love Jamal Shead. He's super cool. He's the exact type of guy that I really like. And me not thinking he has a case for all rookie doesn't mean that it's a slight against him. Please stop using awards to validate you. There's all kinds of other ways to be successful without winning voted upon awards by people who don't watch all of the teams in the NBA, because it's impossible to do it effectively. For me, with Jamal Shead, I think we've seen all we need to see this year for me to think, hey, this guy is going to be an NBA player. I know it's tough for any second rounder to kind of make that case, and things can fall off the rails at any time. But for a first year guy as a guard who, obviously has some physical disadvantages he's overcoming, being 6 feet tall in a league where being 6 feet tall is no bueno no more. I think he's shown enough to me to suggest that there is like a rotation level guard here going forward. Maybe nothing more than like a really nice backup, but hey, you get a really nice backup, a guy who's like a fan favorite, who's around for a while in the second round. That is an absolute home run of a second round pick. And I think that's the track we're on here with Jamal Shead. The 3-point shooting we've talked about, he's at 36% on catch and shoots this season. A really nice sort of layer of baseline to throw down to build upon going forward after he was not much of a shooter at all in college. Really encouraging signs there. Defensively, I think he's going to have the goods once he figures out the fouling. Like, his defense right now is such rookie-ass defense to me. It's so clearly a product not getting the whistle yet because, the reputation has yet to be built. But I do think, again, you don't win Defensive Player of the Year in college as a 6-foot guard by accident. He's a damn good defender. He's got the smarts. I think he's got the hands. And I think he's eventually going to rein in the fouling just enough to be just a really pesky on-ball defender. And that's great. You throw in the rim pressure he brings to the table, the floater game he's brought to the table. I think there's a lot to be pretty bullish on when it comes to Jamal Shead. Again, not as like some starting level star guard. I don't think we're going that crazy, but as a nice rotation, 7th, 8th man, runs your second unit, is around for a while, can spot start when your lead guard gets hurt. I think that is totally a future that can be in front of Jamal Shead if things continue to progress with his development. Let's get into the case for all rookie. Again, there's 2 all rookie teams. 10 guys. It's pretty sparse in terms of real estate. And there are some guys who are just clearly going to be there. The first team honestly almost feels locked up to me. Stephon Castle, Zachary Risachet, Jalen Wells, Alex Sarr, Zach Edey. I don't know if anyone's going to really complain if that's the top 5. That feels pretty clean to me. Edey's been starting a lot of games for a good team. Alex Sarr has been putting up numbers on a bad team, but he's putting up numbers. Jalen Wells also starting games for a good team. Well done, Grizzlies, I guess, in the rookie department this year. Zachary Risachet has had his moments here and there on a fine-ish team, and Stephon Castle's putting up pretty solid numbers. That's going to be the first team to me. It's not a very sexy first team. There's no doubt about it. This is a weird, unsexy rookie class, but you can only evaluate the class before us, and that feels like the top 5 to me. A couple of guys who probably, in terms of like per minute performance, should be on the first team and maybe get a look at second team because the rookie awards, I believe, don't have the 65-game minimum threshold that the other major awards do. Jared McCain, who I think was obviously the best rookie this year. He played 33 games. And this to me feels a little bit like when Joel Embiid played 31 games, I think it was, back in his rookie year and was still a finalist for Rookie of the Year. I think Malcolm Brogdon ended up winning it. But he was a finalist because like the 31 games he played were so good and the rest of the class was so meh. I think that's kind of a situation we're looking at here where Jared McCain was just so clearly the best rookie and obviously would have won the award if he stayed healthy. I wonder, like, he would have won Rookie of the Year, I think, in a walk had he stayed healthy and, obviously would have put up some crazy numbers down the stretch for the tanking Sixers, one would think. So maybe he gets on there. I think Quentin Post as well also is putting himself in the conversation. He's only played 33 games himself. He'll get to around 42, I guess, by the end of the season, 43, how many games left the Warriors have. And he's been very solid. I think, what he's done as far as driving winning, he's right up among the best in terms of value over replacement player and BPM, et cetera. I could totally see Quentin Post making a second team, even if he has fewer games played. But beyond those 2 guys, even if you take those guys out of the equation, and I think both could be very much worthy second teamers, you've got Bub Carrington. Again, a lot of numbers on a bad team. Dalton Connect, he's fine. He's playing rotation minutes, I guess. Yes, he maybe got traded midseason, then retraded back. I don't think that really plays into his all-rookie candidacy. He's been fine. Montes Buzelis has had some moments for the Bulls. He's got better numbers than Jamal Shead on the whole. He's played, I think more of a sort of heavy role within the Bulls rotation. You're probably looking at Buzelis there. Khalil Ware, with the Heat has like the best metrics of any of these guys and also better numbers than Jamal Shead. If you look at the advanced stuff, he's painted as maybe the most impactful rookie so far. So yeah, he's going to be on one of these teams as well. And then Yves Missi, yeah, the Pelicans stink, but he's put up nearly a double-double as a rookie. I think that's probably going to get him onto an all-rookie second team. And so that leaves Jamal Shead on the outside looking in. He's probably in the next group of guys to maybe get in there. I think there's Isaiah Collier. There's a case there, even though he's shooting like 48% true shooting on the season. He's averaging a lot of assists. That's nice, I guess. The Jazz are a great place to put up numbers. Speaking of which, Kyle Filipowski, another guy who might be in the conversation here. Donovan Klingen's been fine. Keyshawn George has put up some solid numbers for the Wizards. And then probably Jamal Shead is in there. Shead does not rank highly in a lot of categories among rookies. He's 13th in minutes played, 24th in points per game, 45th in box plus minus per Basketball Reference, if that's a thing you care about, minus 4.5 BPM. It's not very good. It's also probably a function of him playing with not great players. 47th in value over replacement player. He's been a negative 0.7 VORP guy this year. Again, maybe you don't care so much about these advanced numbers for rookies playing with other fringe rotation guys and all of this, but it's going to factor into the conversation, one would think. Where he stands out is obviously assists. He's fourth in total assists, third in assists per game among rookies. That's great. It's wonderful. I believe per our pal Keeks, he's fourth in the NBA in assists off the bench, period, among all players, not just rookies. That's very cool. I just don't know if that's going to be enough to overcome the lack of scoring production, the lack of just raw minutes played compared to some of these other guys. And he's not been starting very often. He'll probably get some starts down the stretch to pad his stats a little bit, but I just don't see the clear case for Jamal Shead making an all-rookie team. But that's totally fine. Again, I think there's a chance he becomes a better long-term NBA player than a lot of the guys we're talking about here, specifically the second-team guys. Like Dalton Connect, I don't know. I'm not super sold. Bub Carrington, I'm not super sold by any means. Jamal Shead is a guy who I think is going to be in rotations for the next 5 to 8 years. That's a nice thing to have in a second-round pick. And I don't think whether he makes all rookie or not really dampens my enthusiasm for it at all. Again, keep on doing your propaganda, Matt Devlin. Do the campaign all month long. It'll certainly be the least annoying campaign ads we get for the next month in this country, surely. But yeah, I don't think Jamal Shead really has a clear case to make second team all rookie. It'd be great if he did. I'd be thrilled if he did. I think I would get points in the over-under thing at the end of the season when we take it all up with Vivek and Sahal. That would be great too, but I don't think that's going to happen. And so it's fine. It's all good. Root for it, and maybe he goes on a heater down the stretch and really pads his stats and makes a case because the competition's not so hot. But for now, I think steel yourself for the reality that Jamal Shead is not going to make an all-rookie team, and be okay with that because he's cool and rad nonetheless. We'll come back on the other side, get into the latest from Brandon Ingram and whether or not we're going to see him play. The Raptors kicking the can down the road. Once again, the road getting kind of short. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all of my money go between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment? It's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth with it. That's great. Look, I'm someone, I have me and my wife, we have a sort of joint account that we do our sort of housing banking and stuff like that. We have our own little separate bank accounts for our work stuff, whatever. And so Monarch is a wonderful way to keep all of my many accounts in one space so I can see exactly what I've got floating around each of them. It's very handy. I highly recommend you go check it out as well. If you, like me, have a lot of different accounts on the go with various institutions, it can be a way to really take a lot of that extra stress of not knowing where the hell your money is by going and taking control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Back at it here on your Monday edition of Locked On Raptors, sort of loosely talking about a 34-point loss to the San Antonio Spurs at home, which we don't really need to delve all that deeply into. It was not really basketball. That's fine. Whatever. It is what it is. It is what it is at this point, and we have better things to look forward to, hopefully, going into next season, largely due to the guy we're about to talk about here, Brandon Ingram, who, of course, is on the basketball team We've yet to see him play for the basketball team, but he's there. You see him around. He's, warming up before games. He's, sitting on the sidelines. He's on the team. He's been paid. He will be on the team for years to come. And in theory, the team should be, I think, ready to hit the ground running next season and look like a pretty solid team within a very not solid Eastern Conference. I guess we're still keeping the dream alive that we see him a little bit. The report yesterday from Darko Rajakovic is that he's quote unquote progressing. He's running. He's doing stuff. He's doing work. He's not doing any contact stuff yet, which, feels like a hindrance if you're trying to get into NBA basketball games, though March basketball, April basketball, maybe a little more like contact free than your standard run of the mill basketball games, because that's how the NBA likes it, baby. Either way, the big thing to come out of this was we're going to get another report in about 10 days as to where Brandon Ingram is at. That brings us to, I believe, April the 1st, where the Raptors, I think, play that day and then have 6 games after that. Are we really pretending like we're going to see Brandon? I don't think we're going to see Brandon Ingram play. I really think we're at the point now where it's just too far near the end of the line to really justify ramping him all the way up to get him into a couple of games that are just not going to matter. This is the thing. What's left to be gained from playing Brandon Ingram at this point, right? Like, they have one real opponent left on the schedule. They play Detroit on April the 4th. That's the last real team they play. No, I'm not getting tricked by the Chicago Bulls having a good March. They're not a real team. They probably will beat the Raptors because they're actually seemingly trying to get the 9th seed or whatever. But they're not good. They're not real. I'm not worried about the Chicago Bulls in one little bit. They're not going to learn anything playing against them. They stink. Either way, the point is there aren't really any games left on the schedule that are barometer games by which you can actually measure yourself. It's also complicated by the fact that bringing Brandon Ingram back, in theory, if you did that, you'd want to play him with like your other guys, one would think. Emmanuel Quickly, Scottie Barnes, RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl. If you're going to get something out of playing him, it's because you get a little bit of time in the lab with the guys he's actually going to be on the team with next season, even if it's a context or an environment where you're not really playing all that serious of basketball. Like, if you were to make the argument that you got to get Ingram in, it's probably to get him a look with all of these guys just to see what you have. Get a little data point going into the summertime. Understanding the data point means next to nothing. It's still better than nothing. And that would be the case. But I don't think they can really go and play around just yet with playing all their guys. If their intention is to maximize their draft pick, which has been made pretty clear, that's what they want to do. Disagree with the strategy and ethics of tanking all you want. The team wants to do this. And so you got to evaluate what they're going to do within that context. Like, they're getting close to being locked into at least the top 7 spot in the lottery. The sort of 2-game swing that the Spurs beating the Raptors last night kind of represents a big one. The Heat ended their 10-game losing streak and won yesterday as well. Congrats. You beat the Hornets, Miami. Well done. It's a 6-game cushion now between the Raptors with 24 wins and the Spurs and Bulls. Spurs and Heat with 30 wins apiece. You feel pretty good that with 11 games to go, you're not going to squander that 6-game cushion, even though the remaining schedule is very easy by every standard. Like, they play a bunch of absolutely awful basketball teams. Like, that's just the way things go from here to the end of the year. That said, that's a pretty big cushion. They might be locked into top 7, but I do think the race to be 5th in the lottery odds is probably going to go down to the wire. And so if you're the Raptors, even though you don't feel so worried about the worst case scenario falling to 8th or 9th or 10th, maybe you're worried, or you want to try to optimize your chances of getting lucky and getting back ahead of the Sixers and the Nets in the lottery standings. Isn't this fun to talk about? I'm having a great time. You probably want to optimize your chances of, happening into that 5th spot in the lottery. It's helpful. It ensures you're probably going to pick higher because there's, you're more in insulation against getting jumped by lower teams in the lottery, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A better chance at number 1 or in top 4, whatever. Are you going to play all your guys? Are you going to play Ingram, Barnes, Quickly, and Poeltl and Barrett when you think there's a chance that you might be 5th worst, especially when you play the Sixers and the Nets coming up? Like, it's just, I don't see where this goes any place other than Ingram just doesn't play for the rest of the season. And maybe this sort of keeping the dream of him playing alive is a way to, I don't know, dodge the NBA's very, very meek player participation watchdog, where they'll charge you $100,000 if you're sitting guys out. Big whoop. I don't think they care, but I also think they're, capably avoiding that fine by just kind of having Ingram slowly recovering from this injury and still being quote unquote injured. Like it's, I guess it's all technically above board, even if it's not. Like, so you get to the point then, if you're not going to play all your guys because you want to optimize your chances in a race that's probably going to go out of the wire for that 5th spot in the lottery, like, are you really going to throw Brandon Ingram out with like AJ Lawson and Orlando Robinson and Colin Castleton? Probably not. Like, what's the point of that? Like, you're really getting anything out of that other than Ingram getting some games in? Maybe it's worth it. Maybe you don't win those games anyway. You just kind of give Ingram some, room to flex his muscles, see what he's got, get some, game under him, all of that. Maybe that's something there, and you still lose those games because you're not used to playing with Brandon Ingram yet. You don't have any reps and you're not playing your other guys. Like, maybe that's the way you play him. Maybe you play him for 4 games to close the season. I guess you could do that. But, again, if you're 10 days away from the next update, the season ends on April 13th. You have 12 days between that update and the end of the year to get him up and running and playing. Seems a little far-fetched to me, considering he's not doing contact stuff yet. And so, yeah, I mean, look, I don't have a problem if they don't play him. Honestly, like, this is very clearly about next season at this point, right? And I'm so happy and encouraged and excited to watch a team that, even if it doesn't work out, like, they're going to be invested in being more serious next season. They're going to be invested in playing actual meaningful basketball. They could win 35 games and it could go awry, but that's part of the fun of it too. And you make your decisions and sort of adapt from that. But I think they'll be better than that. I think they're going to be a bit above 500 team next season. I feel very good about how things are going to fit. And I just think the depth they're going to have is a very powerful weapon in an NBA where, just kind of having guys available for 82 can get you to the mid 40s in wins. And, the talent on top of that, kind of puts you over the top. I'm just so excited to not be thinking about tank strategy and, where they might, how can they lose more effectively, et cetera, et cetera. Like, Ingram is this like very exciting beacon of light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to be a while till we see him, I think, or I don't think we're going to see him between now and the end of the season. If we do, a wonderful surprise. I'll be happy to see it. I'm not going to get mad about it because it's like anti-tank to go and play him. That's fine by me. Get him some run. I don't care. But man, am I just excited for the end of the road when it comes to this annual cycle of lottery and grimness and hoping and coping and all of that. It's going to be nice to just watch a real basketball team play real basketball. Hopefully Brandon Ingram's a big part of that. We'll come back on the other side, get to the good, the bad, and the to close out the show and send you off into the rest of your Monday. We'll do that coming up in just one sec. All right, wrapping things up here with the good, the bad, and the the way we round out every single episode of this here podcast in the heels of a Toronto Raptors basketball game. A thing I liked, a thing I didn't like, and I think this got me a little bit intrigued from the latest in Toronto Raptors hoops. We're going to go a little bit beyond the Raptors because there's only so much I can say about the game they played against the Spurs on Sunday, which felt like it just kind of happened. I was there, and it just kind of felt like it happened, and then it left my brain because maybe that just means I'm healthy and have good mental health boundaries or whatever. I don't know. The good, I mean, shout out, Scottie Barnes had a good game in this one. He had a nice return to efficiency over these last couple. 22.6 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals, a block, 8 of 11 shooting, 3 of 6 from downtown. I don't think it means anything. I don't think he's like back to being a 50% three-point shooter or anything like that because he's not, but that's fine. It's nice to see him put down at least a couple of nice games where the efficiency's gotten back on track. And I continue to think, as I talked about on the podcast on Friday, I think there's a much better, more efficient version of Scottie Barnes to be unlocked by the Raptors next season. I think right now, he, Barrett, everyone just kind of feels totally checked out, which again, if your boss tells you we're not invested in being as good as we can be down the stretch, human nature suggests you're going to probably try a little bit less. And so I'm not upset about what we're seeing in terms of the lack of juice or energy. That's a team problem. That's a front office problem for saying this is the goal this year. You get what you ask for, and slightly less locked in star players is part of the deal when you're going to go and say, hey, well, we're not going to close games with you, even if you are playing well. We're not doing that. Like, yeah, of course, this is the situation you get where everyone's just kind of half playing, and that's fine. For a guy who was just sort of half playing, going through the motions, 22, 6 and 6 on 8 of 11, he'll take that all day. Happy to see that from Scottie Barnes. The bad, I mean, I'm just going to give this to the in-person experience for anyone who paid money to go to that basketball game last night. It's just a really downtrodden vibe right now in Scotiabank Arena. And look, Darko was even asked about this before the game by our pal Oren Weisfeld. He was asked just like about the drop off in sellouts and the lack of fan attendance and the lack of interest. And I think he said what you'd expect. He said, "I'm the basketball coach. That's not really my department." Fair enough. It is totally true. This is not really a thing he should be worrying about. But man, it'd be really nice if everyone should just like get their money back for the thing they paid for last night. It was rough, man. It's just like pretty dead environment, pretty lifeless. I mean, I thought the team did a pretty solid job with their Pride Night celebration. That's great. I wish that night had been more sort of central to a part of the season where more people were going to be in the house. That'd have been great. But it wasn't because I don't know. Save it for March, I guess. This would have been something much preferred during the part of the season where people actually were attending games and being excited about being there. But either way, like it's just, I think there's just a lot of folks simply checking out, man. And I'm having that, like I wrote about this last week, and I've had even more people in my life since I wrote about this, the sort of NBA just pissing away the last 6 weeks of its season and seemingly being fine with it. I know Eric Kareem wrote a long piece about this at The Athletic too, but more people in my life over the last week or so I've spoken to about how they just aren't watching this year. They're tuned out because this tank stuff sucks. It's not fun. And your regular casual fan who is not your team optimization brain person, who's not going through cap sheets and worried about every single bit of team building being fully optimized to build a team towards a championship, your casual fan who just wants to watch some good ball, they're not watching because there's not good ball. And that's the downside of this tank stuff. And again, why I'm so excited that we're going to be back to entertainment next season, the thing that this is ostensibly all about. Really glad they're on track to be a different kind of team next year, a team that matters, a team that isn't a waste of your time and money. I get it. Every team's got to go through it. This is the incentive structure. This is what happens. But man, you really want tanking. I mean, I never do, but a lot of people really want it until you have it. And then it's like, wow, this is what tanking is. Yeah, this is what tanking is. It stinks. Let's end on a hopeful note with the which again is not at all tied to the basketball game, but some other basketball games that happened over the weekend. Some actually competitive basketball games. Yes, less talented. Yes, less beautifully orchestrated offensive sets in most cases, but the competition was there. And ain't that what the sports are all about? Is guys trying to win. Prospect Corner, March Madness. A lot of fun prospect performances over the weekend that had me feeling very good about where things sit, no matter where the Raptors end up drafting in this class. Derek Queen, guy we talked about a lot on the show, huge game winner for Maryland. Awesome. Called for the ball, said, "Give me the effing ball," I guess, in the final huddle. And they gave him the effing ball, and he scored the effing ball. And Maryland is moving on to the Sweet 16. He's so cool. Very into Derek Queen. Again, fit concerns be damned. I think at this point with him and the Raptors, he's just cool as hell. I'm into it. There's a guy like Jeremiah Fears, who his Oklahoma team lost in the first game of the tournament, but that guy is really fun, very electric, might climb my personal board quite a bit. I actually think Jeremiah Fears might have some of the best offensive engine upside of anyone in this class outside of Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper. There's a non-zero chance he's number 3 on my board by the time things roll around. And if he's there at 6 or 7 for the Raptors, if that's where they're picking, that'd be pretty cool. A really electrifying young guard who's super young. He's 18 years old, reclassified. He's you're young. He's like in the Cooper Flagg bucket of guys who reclassified and is just like much younger than his contemporaries. And he's very fun, very electric. The 3-point shooting, yeah, we'll see, but there's some pull-up juice. The free throws are really great. I kind of buy the shot coming around for him in an environment where he's not the be-all, end-all for his entire team. Very into Jeremiah Fears. Cooper Flagg, Kaman Malawash, Con Knipple all had pretty solid showings for Duke. They look very good. They're probably going to go quite deep in this tournament, one would think. Just a really fun bunch of prospects. And I'm at the point where I'm pretty stoked about anyone in the top 7 or 8. I think, VJ Edgecombe obviously had some nice moments. Baylor's out now after losing to Duke, but he had some nice moments. Big clutch sort of late performance in their game in the – who the hell they play? It was an 8-9 game. I can't remember who they played, but Baylor won the first game of the tournament to move on to play Duke. Edgecombe had his moments. Yeah, we're selling hopium today, baby. There's a lot of cool guys in this draft class that I'm quite excited to watch play basketball in the NBA. And yeah, I think, it'd be nice if the Raptors picked higher. It'd be lovely if they got Cooper Flagg because that guy is the goddamn truth. But if you don't get Cooper Flagg, there's lots of other guys who I think are going to be quite interesting and probably very available to the Raptors when they come on the clock, most likely in the 5 to 7 or I guess 8 range if things really go wrong. But yeah, that's where we're at. The draft, keeping us hopeful, keeping us with a nice to close out the show. We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for rocking with the show. As always, we will talk to you again on Tuesday to talk about another banger. What's the game tonight? Raptors. Raptors Wizards. The Wizards. Let's go. Another Raptors Wizards tilt. Jamal Shead against Bub Carrington and Alex Sarr for all rookie team supremacy. Can't wait. The podcast will still be good though. Please come hang out. Please keep listening to the show. Please keep reading the newsletter. Please keep engaging. These are lean times, but if we all band together, we can get through them as one. The newsletter, you can go to the QR code on the screen, support there. Join the Discord, link in the description of the podcast. Come hang out. And we'll be back again on Tuesday, another episode of Locked On Raptors. Thanks so much for hanging. Bye-bye.